Are they trying to divide the people as much in Germany as they are in America?
I feel like in our country here, we don't have elections that generally people trust.
I think that we're getting set up for the biggest economic rug pull by the government that we've ever seen.
I don't think you need to work more than 60 hours a week to make millions of dollars. If you have to work more than 60 hours a week,
You're not doing it right.
who's making money when you're getting pills? Who's making money when you're getting a surgery?
When you're getting sick again, it's just like it just like runs that cycle. There's only one big winner. So how would you define an alpha male today, outside of healthy living and exercise? Today I got Nima Yamini in the building, I believe one of the best content creators that was on TikTok. He was absolutely crushing it. A lot of really comedic, business, insightful content. And we're going to talk about finance, life, family, making money, and the changing world. Nima, welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me, man. I like your content, you know? Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Me, man. Thank you.
So you were in Miami for a while, and now you are full-time in Germany?
Yeah, you know, so I know you appreciate taxes and offshore trusts and such. My tax situation is definitely has some complexity to it. So in Germany actually has a tax treaty with the United States. And so you can avoid double taxation.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that and other reasons, my primary residence now is actually Germany. And I was looking at actually completely giving up even my personal home here, but I'm going to keep it. I mean, my mother can use it for a big part of the year. And I was born and raised in the United States, man. I'm just not ready to leave.
Yeah.
You know, there's something to be said about, you know, despite everything that happened in the United States, every country has their problems. I just miss hearing accents that are American, you know, like even when I hear you or when I'm here, you know, talking, there's something to be said about just like, I can go a while and not hear an American accent when I'm in Germany, you know? So it's just something that I just miss, you know, and it feels like home. Home is where the heart is, you know, where you're born and raised. It's like, it feels good being here, you know?
Definitely.
Because I'm also gone for so long. So my perspective is not necessarily the same of someone that just lives here all year.
Yeah.
I appreciate this country in a way that a lot of people don't, you know?
Yeah, no, a lot of people talk a lot of bad things about this country. I absolutely love this country.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, we have our problems, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And they're trying to steer this country into the toilet.
Yeah.
But I think there's, you know, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people that truly want what America was. Yeah. And they're going to fight to keep it that way.
I agree, man.
So how long are you going to stay? You're staying here, what do you say, till Wednesday?
Yeah, then I go back to Germany, hopefully come back again in a few months. But, you know, living in Germany and doing business in the United States, I also, you know, I learned, you know, quite a bit, you know, business practices in Germany, which is the strongest economy in the EU.
Yeah.
They only have a population of about 85 million, but it's still like among the top 5, top 6 strongest economies in the world. Mm-hmm. You look at their GDP, you look at their innovation. They also, you know, do a great job at producing billionaires. I mean, there's billionaires there, you know, and an excellent standard of living. A lot, you know, the things that are possible there, it's like apples and oranges to compare like how they do things and we do things. It's just not the same. Like, for example, I feel like in our country here, we don't have elections that generally people trust, right? Like liberal or Democrat.
For sure.
Like, that's just a apolitical.
I think people in general, whether you're any left, right, center, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. You always question everything nowadays.
Nowadays, I would say most Democrats or many Democrats and Republicans generally as a country we're losing when we don't trust our elections, our media, our institutions. Whereas in Germany, I think that they generally have there's exceptions, but I'm just saying like if you look at the mass population, I think that they have a higher degree of trust in their institutions, media, and elections. And I think that as a society, they all win. And they have arguments and battles, and they have their division too, but at least they agree enough and they have enough trust that they all benefit from that.
Yep.
For example, I think they can all benefit from healthcare for everyone there. Affordable healthcare, a fraction of the cost. They spend less money and they may get better health outcomes for their patients. How could that be possible here? How? When when there's so much corruption from Democrats and Republicans. Like it's so, there's something to be said about it's rigged, Mm-hmm. There really is I don't think that word would have resonated so hard, became such a popular word, if there wasn't some truth there. Like there's some truth. It's like, it's like a joke. You say it and there's a degree of truth there that's so real that it was funny, but there was actually a little bit true. Or you insult someone or something in an argument, and I don't know, there's some things that are just true, and I think the whole country suffers because of it. But again, I still love this country. I love coming back, man.
Yeah, my business partner's in Germany. I met up with him like 4 or 5 months ago in Zurich.
Okay.
He drove over. It was like a 3-hour drive. He's extremely trustworthy. We've been working together for years. Just like a very smooth, easy relationship. And that's just like the way that he does business, and I guess the way that he was raised, maybe the culture there. But, I was fortunate enough to, connect with him a few years ago. But here in America, it just like seems like harder. At least maybe it's just my luck.
Yeah. If he drove 3 hours to Zurich, he probably lives in southern Germany.
Yeah.
Byron, Bavaria in English.
Yeah,
Near Munich or something, I would imagine.
I think it was a longer name. I don't remember.
Yeah, they got some long names, man.
Yeah.
They got some long names, man. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to pay. I empathize with like Republicans. As a high income earner myself, I also, as a guy that works in finance as well, a guy that worked in private equity as well, I would say that I am the definition of a capitalist, the literal definition.
Mm-hmm.
I empathize with people saying, why should I pay more tax? I resent that I have to pay a lot of taxes when I think that they're criminals. I think the IRS should be abolished. But that's my personal view, because now, do I think it should be abolished if I trusted the Democrats and the Republicans? No, but I don't. That's why I think it should be abolished, right? So that's my personal view. And I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I don't trust any of them.
Yep.
I just don't trust any of them at all. And why should I pay them taxes when I don't trust them? Now in Germany, my tax rate is around 43 out of 100 goes to the taxes, but I trust them. And I think that you wouldn't be as angry if you actually trusted the government to actually be a good steward of that cash and actually give a society where people benefit. Like I actually live in my daughter right now and my wife, I feel comfortable when they walk around in Germany, right? I feel legitimately, when I know that the gas station worker has health insurance and can afford to go to college, it takes the edge off society. Now, if we pay more taxes here,
you pay 100% tax, nothing will change. It'll get worse.
Thank you. I think that just illustrated my point perfectly. I think you knew where I was going.
It's crazy because like we bought a place in a pretty nice area around the corner, and a year and a half ago, no homeless people, nothing, completely fine. Now, like my wife was walking her 2 kids, and a cop came by and said, "Oh, have you seen this man? You shouldn't be around here. Like you should go inside." I'm like, in this area, one of the most expensive areas in Florida, you start to deal with stuff like that. That's more acceptable in LA. People kind of like are used to, crime and like corruption and all that stuff. But now it's starting to that's where people do desperate things.
Yeah. I mean, as a father, I empathize with that, Yeah, because, I was just talking to my boxing coach earlier today. Yeah, he wants to have a child. And I said to him, and you probably could understand me here, like my daughter is about 8 months old. And my daughter went and got a physical. Yeah. And they said something like, "Oh, there's something maybe wrong with the heart." So we went to a specialist. They did like the ultra scan and everything. Everything came out fine, thank God. But I remember thinking to myself, like, I thought it was scary when I would go get tested, wait for a result, a medical test. Yeah. But the fear I have of my daughter getting a medical test was even more powerful and scary and horrifying and stress than myself, because I don't know what I would do if anything ever happened to her. Yeah. And it's then I think the anxiety I would get of being in a crime-ridden area and someone just stabs my daughter in the neck. I mean, I don't know. Like, these people are fucking delusional. The society's collapsing. Man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. What would I do next? Would I kill myself? I don't know. I don't know how I could. I don't know how any father could go a day knowing something happened to his daughter.
Yep.
I mean, that's some PTSD, bro. Like, I could understand, like, really going to a fucking psychiatric hospital, because I love passionately. I love my daughter. I love my wife passionately. That's passion. It's intensity. I'd fucking be destroyed if something happened to my daughter.
Yeah.
And I would definitely never trust a man who betrayed his family or left his family.
100%.
If a man can leave his family, yo, bro, if you have a daughter and you could just, oh, fuck you, I'm not going to go see you. I would never trust a guy like that.
100%.
In any position where he could hold money over me,
Yep.
I would never trust him with my wife. I would never trust him. I might go meet him for drinks. I might go hang out with him. I could be cordial with him, right? But I would never trust him.
Yeah, if he'll cheat on her and turn her back on her, he'll turn it back on you 100 times.
If a man cheats on his wife, you're an idiot if you think he's not going to cheat on you in business when there's self-gain present.
Yeah.
It's a viable pathway to self-enrichment and profit is to betray you. He cheats on his wife. He cheats on, not only does he cheat on his wife, he cheats on his wife, cheats on his kids, cheats on his parents-in-law. I mean, you gotta be a real fucking, I mean, in America, we've made it a cultural norm, right? Cheating, adultery.
Yeah, they're trying to make it. Like, people are starting to accept it. Like, oh yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, you're going to destroy your family.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural norm to just commit adultery. I don't agree with that. I think it's fucking vile, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's vile. It's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was reading something the other day. It was saying 25% of women today have an STD and 25% of women have had an abortion. And that 45% of women by 2030 will be single and childless. So like that they're trying to make it the norm to cheat on your significant other, cheat on your kids, leave your family, try to go grass is green on the other side. But at the end of the day, everyone's just going to live in a life of regret.
I don't know. Like, for me as a father, I don't feel like and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I don't feel like I really lived until about 8 months ago when my daughter was born. I don't feel like I ever loved my wife until and we've been together for years, until about 8 months ago when my daughter was born. It took the relationship a whole nother level, man. It made our bond stronger. We got way more intimate. It's amazing when you have a daughter or a son with a woman you love. It's just such an intimate experience with a human. Right?
Yep.
How was it for you?
Yeah. I mean, I met my wife in 2012. So we've been together about a little over 11 years. And it was into when we first met, we were at it wasn't like a bar, but like I was with my buddy who's a wingman. Yeah. Like my wingman, I was going out, and then on the other side there was a restaurant, and she was with her family. They were like raising money for an Indian reservation thing because her family was like into it.
Yeah.
We ended up meeting, and then we went on one date. Then she went back to Colorado because she was living there full time.
Okay.
I flew out. I hung out with her for Thanksgiving. Then she came back, and then she actually moved into me, and we've lived together ever since.
Oh, that's great.
And then at that point in time, I was at I was a real estate agent back in 2012. And I thought that I was like hot shit because I sold a couple big houses and thought I was had everything going. Yeah. But it was literally as everything was coming down. Like, I lost my driver's license on a violation a few years before, but caught up with me. And then she ended up driving me to all my listing appointments and would just sit in the car an hour, 2 hours. So I'd do these appointments and would basically we lived in some crappy little apartment and basically worked together and built everything. That's nice, now we have 2 kids and she's incredible. And
nice, man.
Yeah, it's very rare, I think, where now society is so divided. Whether it be they divide people through race, through political ideologies, through everything. So to be able to find somebody today like what you have and what I have, it's very rare. It should be cherished.
Yeah. What is your background about it?
Italian
Asian?
and Irish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some people was this guy's Mexican. This guy's Hindi or something. This guy's
I think Chinese.
Yeah, someone's
African or
Chinese.
I don't fucking know,
Everyone's saying something maybe I should try to get some of that 1.2 million reparations money they're giving to people in California.
That is crazy, man. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, they're $100 billion they're pushing on the taxpayers. It's nuts. Like
Man.
California is absolutely crazy. I went through like an
Crazy.
insane situation there. Actually, that was one of the main reasons why we left. I had some
God.
tenants sue me for $2 million. The city like backed them up. It was like insane. I literally paid this tenant to leave. She signed legal documents. She had an attorney. I had an attorney. I paid her $12,500 to leave. She finds out on social media 2.5 years later. And she's like, oh, this guy can afford to pay more. She went to the city. The city issued her an appointed attorney, paid from the taxpayer. And they sued me, and my insurance company handled it. But it was like, it was a nightmare. Like, it was just crazy. Only in California. If it happened anywhere else, like Florida, Texas, any other place, it would have been fine. But my attorney and the insurance company, they settled it. They're like, the only reason that we're settling it's not because of the facts of the case, but it's because if you go in front of a jury in downtown LA, it's going to be a jury of her peers, not a jury of yours. And you're the enemy in their eyes.
Yeah.
They see you on social media. They see what you're doing. It's not going to be a good look. And it's just like...
It's incredible how ungrateful some of these people are, man.
Yeah.
The landlord that goes, risks capital, puts things together, finds a good deal, if he even finds a good deal, manages the mortgage, manages the upkeep, manages the property maintenance, puts everything together, provides a clean, safe, let's say, quiet home for someone at a fair market price. And then they can still complain.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the person took so much risk, capital to actually provide something called housing. Someone did it. The government didn't do it. It didn't just end up there. It didn't just nowhere did I ever read a book that said everyone's entitled to a home.
Right.
I don't feel entitled to anything in
I
life.
agree.
I just don't. And my daughter will always think that, your father's successful. Your father has a high income. You don't. And that's straight up, man. And I really believe that. Like my daughter, no, man. Just because this is my success. You didn't do anything for this.
Yeah.
You're just born into coming with me. You're my guest. Never feel entitled to anything. I don't know how some people feel this level of entitlement.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. It's going to destroy our country.
Yeah, I mean, like that eviction moratorium in California, people think it's done. I think that it's just beginning. They planted a seed. I think eventually they're going to try to bring that insanity back because it's just a really big opportunity for the government to grab more power from people. And they're never once they take a little bit, they're going to take more and more and more. And I think that the more entitled tenants are, the more opportunity for landlords to want to fix up their properties, maintain their properties, invest in properties, fill tax revenue, like do everything that allows that city to be that city is going to start to erode.
That's the thing is, in California, I understand the ideology of like I understand as someone who lives in Germany and in the United States, born and raised here. I went to school here. So, and I've now had a home there for a few years. I didn't always have a home there, but I got a home here. I didn't just get a home right away when we started seeing each other, but I've had a home now for a few years. And I can say that I understand the good intention of what they're trying to do. It's like cognitive dissonance. It's like I can understand what they're trying to do in California. I get it. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt to say they're trying to help. Now, do I think that in Germany, they may take some of those ideas and actually do it? I think in Germany, they actually pull off this stuff. So you may have paid more in taxes, but they really did what they said they were going to do at a much higher level. Now, in California, like you said, you could pay all these taxes and it's just a bunch of corruption. I don't think a lot of people trust, let's just say, Newsom.
No.
Who trusts Newsom?
Yeah.
Honestly, like who trusts this governor? Dude, this is a fucking joke at this
in
point.
April,
It's
he
a
had
joke,
that big
bro.
dinner, $12,000 a take, like $12,000 a plate.
Who trusts
everyone was
Nancy?
like,
Who trusts Nancy Pelosi?
Yep.
And I'm just saying, objectively speaking,
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And that's where you want to pay more tax. Like it's just like it's delusional, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm just saying, objectively speaking, with Nancy Pelosi and Newsom, I wouldn't trust. How could you trust them? Why would you want to pay them? No wonder people want to leave.
Yeah.
I understand why businessmen in New York California want to leave. Or in New York, I mean, look at the mayor in New York. It's a joke, yeah, it's a joke. New York City's mayor and California's governor and Nancy Pelosi. It's just a mockery.
Yeah, and they're getting ready to do all these new like climate laws with property. I think things are going to get crazy in places like New York and California next couple of years. And I
Yeah,
think
me
that
too.
people need to really like understand we're probably heading into some dark times for real estate investors. But inside dark times, you can do well for yourself, but you just have to know there's probably a lot of curveballs coming.
Yeah. I think a lot of the resentment as again, as some, and this is my viewpoint as someone who's living overseas for over 6 months out of the year. The 183-day rule,
Yeah.
for example. So I technically, I am overseas. It's not just 183-day rule for tax purposes, but also my immigration and stuff into Germany. So think about it. And I know I'm sounding redundant here, but I don't think a lot of high income earners would be as angry to flee California if they saw when they're on Sunset Boulevard outside of Sunset and La Brea,
Yep.
they see a Ralph's.
I live right around the corner from there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you think about the level of homelessness that people are, the encampments or whatever, on the street, I mean, come on, man. And you're paying high taxes, and you can't even go to the grocery store, buy a bag of popcorn without seeing all of this stuff. It's just, you don't feel safe. And even not even that one. You go to a Ralph's in another part of the city. You see, it's just nonstop. You go to a gas station. You go to a community event.
Yeah,
It's
they're doing
just-
these follow home robberies now where they're literally like, oh, the guy's got a G63, follow him home in his G-Wagon, have him go in his house with them. Like, it's a very public thing. They're doing these follow home robberies now. So it's like in LA, it's the cost of getting busted for a crime doesn't match the upside of committing the crime. And so people are just like, okay, no downside risk.
I will say this much. If you're a high income person living in California, if I were living in Los Angeles, and I would not live in Los Angeles, I lived in Malibu for a year. But if I were to live in Los Angeles and I was a high income earner, I would not drive a fancy car. I would drive like a two-year-old Prius or something,
Yeah.
or a Tesla or something.
Little Honda Pilot or some whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear a fancy. I wouldn't wear a watch. If I did, it'd be like a G-Shock or something. Like it would. I wouldn't show off. I think some of these guys draw attention to themselves.
Yeah, in a place like LA.
Yeah, I never felt the need to really show off. Initially, when I started making money, I did. I think I wanted it, but it didn't really bring me much happiness. You sort of like when you're a young kid, you get a toy, you want to play with it. And after a while, it's sort of like, all right,
Yeah.
you just get bored.
Yep.
It's not, and it's the fact that I save money it's not because I'm frugal. It's because it just doesn't bring me much happiness to spend. So I think some guys who are successful, I'm sure you know quite a bit. I don't think it's necessarily guys aren't. I don't think it's necessarily that the guys are cheap or they're frugal. I think it doesn't do anything for them.
Yeah.
Whether the money's in the bank or the money's in a car or the money's in some jewelry, it really doesn't do, like, I really get more, and that sounds fucking cliche, and I understand I sound like a fucking cliche, but I get more happiness from my relationships, taking care of my health now, because I wasn't eating right for a while.
Yeah, same here.
And I want to just be there for my daughter, my wife, and my family, and other things bring me way more happiness than just going right now and jumping, a private jet or something. I'm not saying I don't like to do it at all, but it doesn't really move my needle when it comes to happiness. And you never know what's going to happen next day.
What was
man.
the crossing point for that? Like, at one point you were probably really the
Yeah.
opposite of this position. At what point did it get to where you are now? Was there like a certain moment where it just kind of like you went through this shift?
I think I had a situation with my health where it scared me straight. It was like walking with, for the idea of like, I'm not here. And I think at that point I realized much more what's really important. And one is, taking care of myself, not eating so much processed food, fried food, white sugar, chemicals. Sugary drinks are even probably worse than the actual Snicker bar because of how it affects your body. Now I'm sober completely. Not that I was, drinking that much before, but I quit that. And my life's much more fragile. And then also when I thought about, for example, having a daughter, having a wife, and then also looking at my parents and thinking, okay, well, they're fine today. In 10 years from now, maybe they won't be. Maybe in 20 years from now, they won't be. Who will be there for them? Who's going to be there for my daughter if I were to pass away today?
Yeah.
That fear of who's going to be there for my daughter if I were to pass away right now is it's like the one thing I want the most in the world is to be there when my daughter gets married. That's simple. Like I could tell, what's the thing you want the most? Anyone asked me in the street, what's the one thing you want the most in the world? Money can't buy it.
Yep.
I just want to be alive, walking, when my daughter gets married to a nice man. And she's about 8 months old. So I hope I have another 25 years. Because the idea of that I won't be there for her, I'm willing to, if it means I have to eat healthier, I love ice cream and cookies. If I can't eat ice cream and cookies like I used to, then I can't. If I got to watch my blood sugar, my insulin, my, the glucose intake, if I have to watch, my inflammation and, then I'd rather do that than die.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 100%.
And if I have to go get a bunch of medical checkups and stay on top of that, I'd rather do that than not know and think I'm fine. And then 3 years later, I pass out and I fucking die.
Yeah.
I just get a heart attack or I get some other chronic illness and I just die. Like people die all the time, so people don't get checked up. I wish I would have. I think I found out, thank God, I found out about a situation I had because I got checked up. And if I didn't,
was it just a random? You just decided to go get checked up?
I had a symptom that I could have easily overlooked. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I could have easily overlooked the symptom and just moved on. Right. I'm so glad I went and got it checked out because if you don't know you have a problem and the doctors don't give you you're not diagnosed at an early point of an illness, it's much more harder to get a cure.
Definitely.
And thankfully I actually required surgery. And I remember thinking when they put me to sleep, it was a one-day surgery. It wasn't a big surgery. It was outpatient. I went home the same day.
In and out the same day.
Yeah, in and out the same day. But I remember thinking, fuck, man. I remember thinking, holding my wife. My wife was there. They put me in the back. They put me in the room. I'm on the bed. They got the water thing in my vein. And I'm about to go into surgery. 30 minutes goes by. I'm not there. Hour goes by. I'm not there. 2 hours, we're still waiting. There was a delay. Like 2 hours, I'm just there hearing this noise. It was fucking just adding to my anxiety.
Yeah.
Eventually, they put me to sleep. And I just remember being terrified of that. And then I remember waking up being terrified that I'm actually, what just happened to me. And then the doctor said, yeah, the surgery was successful. But that scared me so much that it scared me straight, man. It scared me straight that, like for example, preventative care, it's better to avoid than cure. Get your checkups, make sure your urine, make sure your stool is right, man. Check your stool, check your urine, get your blood pressure checked, get your blood sugar levels checked, get your, insulin, glucose intake, get all of that, get enough water. Good for the bladder. Yeah. Right. Get at least 2-3 liters of water. Like instead of just, I think like you and I are fathers, but it's like, if I was 22 years old, maybe I would just be focused on the fitness influencer that has big muscles. But now at 42, I'm actually way more focused on what's inside. Like there's a guy, I see this guy, he's beautiful bodybuilder, basically. Muscular, like Hercules, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, right?
Yeah.
But then I see him smoking. Man, bro, smoking? Like, I don't know about any of you guys, but I hope none of us ever get lung cancer.
Yeah.
For example, that's a deadly that's a scary situation, man. Now, do we have better treatment nowadays for people who get it? Yeah. You can survive and live. A lot of people survive. Some people don't, but a lot of people do. But better not to get it.
Yeah.
And I think some people, like now, I see people, they're like smoking maybe, miserable with their life, standing at like a work break or something.
Yeah, like one or smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Like tomorrow you wake up, you go to the doctor, you find out you got a fucking illness and you could die. Shit. you might appreciate those little problems,
Yeah.
because those are little problems. Be much more thankful. There are plenty. I remember once I was at an airport in Naples, private airport, and the CEO was an older man, about 70 years old. And he was paying quite a bit of money. It was a mid-sized jet from Naples to maybe Teterboro,
Yeah.
private airport outside New York. Excuse me. And I remember seeing him, and he looked so sad. You would think he would enjoy that. It was just him and his wife.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing him at the airport, and I found out that he had a heart issue, and he had a back issue. And yeah, he has all that money, man, but health.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter, man, how much money you make. You don't have your health, man. It's going to finish you. There are a lot of guys in their 20s and 30s, they feel unstoppable. I know I did. I felt invincible at some point. I was like, nothing's happening to me. Like, nothing is happening to me.
Yeah.
Then I got sick. I paid the price for, good chance I paid the price for all the bad eating I did for so many years. And now I'm trying to reverse that. But I regret not having a healthier diet earlier. That's my big regret. Who cares how you look? Yeah, that's your ego. But what's inside of your body, man? And it take one situation where hopefully anyone listening to this catches, gets it detected early. But what if you don't? You just get a heart attack.
Yeah.
And you die. Heart disease, heart illnesses are the number one thing that kill people, man. I don't know, we're not even talking about cancer and stuff like that, but I'm just talking about your heart.
Yeah, I got a 3-year-old right now, and he just got off of his I guess you call it a strider, without the wheel or without the the pedals. He's his feet. Then he's doing his regular bike. We didn't do the training wheels. Now all he wants is a motorcycle, and every day is motorcycle, and he has this little piggy bank, and I'll put 50 cents in there, $1 a day if he does his reading. Nice. He reads with his mom for 15 minutes a night. Nice. And he does Spanish lessons during the day. So he gets when he does his work, then he gets a little bit of money. Nice. And then he has to get $1,700 to get the motorcycle that he wants to get. Nice. And we go skateboarding, and he does the pump track in Miami. We do it almost every weekend, and have a blast. I wouldn't trade it in for the world. Yeah. It's fun to work and do things and climb financially. Yeah. But to go with your family, go to the beach, go to the pump track, do that kind of stuff, and see him push himself. It's I wouldn't, for the health and for all that, to trade that in. I wouldn't do it for any amount of money in the world.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You don't really, it's and people are getting sick much more now than I think a lot of it is our food.
Yeah, the food's getting bad.
Well, the United States, you were just in Italy, right?
Yeah.
So you're also Italian, half Italian, so you understand what I'm about to say here. In the United States, if you go to Spain, if you go to Italy, or Germany, in any average grocery store, the average grocery store, and I say this because I know you were just in Italy. I live in Spain. Germany. But the average grocery store and I'm not talking about someone high income like you and I.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just before someone says, "Oh, you can afford to go eat and buy this super clean stuff." No, I'm talking about the guy that's making 50,000 euro, $58,000 USD.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they go to a grocery store in Germany, Spain, or Italy, and then the American goes to the grocery store. That guy in the EU is buying healthier food.
Definitely.
And I'm not just saying subjectively. I'm talking about the food regulation policies in the EU where there's less chemicals. You have more transparency from farm to fork. What happened with that food? You have better policies to protect the animals, and also you probably have less, for example, sugar. So it's just you're literally being fed fake filth, garbage, poison in the United States. And again, this goes back to the root of why I don't trust Democrat or Republican politicians. They're getting paid off how else could it be possible that we have so many people getting sick earlier? And as if that's not enough, that they didn't rip us off already, we're spending, let's say, 2-3x on healthcare.
Yeah.
Compared to these people in Spain, Italy, Germany, and they're getting, let's say, better patient outcomes. You can't make this up, bro. Like you can't, like it's complete. And big pharma, I don't trust either. I think there's backroom deals where your favorite Democrat or your favorite Republican, they shake hands, then they go back to hating each other, but then they shake hands. The pharmaceutical company wins, and who paid the price? The guy who makes $55,000 a year. Because if he gets sick, he goes to the hospital. What is he going to get? $6,000 bill? Guy makes $55,000. Then the health insurance company maybe doesn't want to cover it for something, or they deny, or he didn't have health insurance, and now he's really fucked to get health insurance. I mean, so we're basically saying what? The guy should just go die?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Now you might say to yourself, oh, Nima sounds like a liberal. No, I'm not. I'm not even a liberal. But in Germany, that guy that makes $55,000, not only is he getting healthier food, not only is healthcare cost less, the guy actually is getting healthcare at an affordable price. By law, he has to have healthcare, but they win. Why do they win? And they have conservatives and they have liberals in Germany too. They have conservatives and liberals too. They have racists there and they have open-minded people. They have gay people, straight people. But they have minorities there too. And in Germany, it's the Turks. Here, it's the Mexicans, let's say, Cubans, in Florida specifically. But my point, that they have a greater level of trust in their institutions, elections, and media. And I understand why so many people are angry in this country, man. I would be too if I was a middle-class worker. They actually have a right to be angry.
Yeah.
And if they actually all came together to say, we refuse, just like one day, all Democrats and Republicans came together and just said, we're going to ban all corporate lobbying money in our elections. Just cut their money supply. We're just going to cut their money supply. I think that would do a lot.
Yeah.
I think that would be noticeable within 5 years across many spectrums of I think that would be noticeable, and I think there's a good chance it'd be a safer country.
Yeah. There's something needs to change in this country.
Something.
But things are going to get a hell of a lot harder, because one thing that's happening that I think a lot of Americans aren't listening to is like that climate situation, where they're trying to reduce fossil fuels. As they do that, think about it, everything is getting more expensive. Anything that comes on a ship, a truck, a plane, it's going to cost more to get there. It's going to get passed on to the consumer. And so what are they going to do as a solution? They're going to continue increasing interest rates and likely try to push forward further tax policies to strip wealth away from citizens. And as they do that, the government then gains more and more power and authority over the masses, which allows them then to implement even more draconian measures on people. Like, oh, you want this? You got to do this. You want that? You got to do that. And then it becomes this society where it's no longer based on any sense of freedom or, your contribution to the economy. It's based on, what they say your value is.
Do you ever in real estate?
I'm not active right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the last 12 months, I haven't done a deal in the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's not easy right now.
It's not, and it's like that, and people are chasing, and I think that the market is more likely, there's more downside opportunity than upside. Like I don't see the market continuing to run at another 10 or 15 or 20%, but it wouldn't blow my mind to see prices fall 10, 15, 20%. So I think it's more likely that we're going to start to see some opportunities. And then at that point, then I'll dive in. But even the last year and a half, last year I did one deal. I think that we're getting set up for the biggest economic rug pull by the government that we've ever seen. If you look at, they printed $7 trillion. They put interest rates at 0. They halted student loans, utility bills, mortgages. They did all these different things to paint this false illusion of security in the economy and in this country. And now they're increasing interest rates 13 times in the last 15 months, increasing interest rates, and they're slowly making all these bills due again. And as they're doing that, we have record high inflation and $17 trillion in consumer debt. most of that debt was locked in at very low interest rates. So now like credit cards, like all those bills are starting to get more and more expensive to service, and so is their food. And now job layoffs are starting to happen. So I'm just looking at it, I'm like, I see a higher probability of opportunity to invest in front.
Yeah. In what?
Multifamily, single family.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're lending, right? You're doing.
I was hard. I still do, but not much. But yeah, but I'm still in the game. Yeah, but that's not like massive profits, you know.
Yeah.
Put 100, make a little, 10, 11 back on it within 12 months. That's not like, I'm just saying this in layman.
Yeah.
I like real estate debt. I think it is a way to make passive income when you think about it. I mean, you're using your capital rather than labor.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy to find deals that are, once you have a way to source deals, make sure you have plenty of protection in the deals that you're actually financing. I mean, hard money lending, I think for people that actually have the capital, they have the liquidity to be able to do it. And I think if you focus on a few markets or your own market, and you just learn basic due diligence, basic arithmetic, I think it's better to do something like that than to just keep it in the bank account where you're getting smashed to pieces with inflation right now.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, inflation is just, that's the first point that I can say. It's really horrific.
They say it's 6%. I think it's more like 26% or 16%.
Yeah.
You go actually spend some money. You go take your wife out and daughter out. Everywhere you go is $100, $120.
Yeah.
And it's not like a super nice restaurant. It's like, a decent spot. But that meal a couple years ago was $45, $50.
I feel inflation more here than I do in Germany. I can't pinpoint it, but I immediately pick it up.
Are they trying to divide the people as much in Germany as they are in America?
I think that over there, because their middle class is largely more well-fed,
Yeah.
I think they're able to have opportunities. I think that they're just not as angry. Now, bear in mind, you have conservatives and you have liberals there. They have their own domestic issues like we do. But I think that because they have a safe, clean country, generally much safer, much cleaner than here, high standard of living, I think it's hard. Like, okay, you're taking care of people enough that they might not be willing to go destroy everything. Here, I think so many people are struggling that you're starting to see people just say, well, if I can't be a part of the building, I'll be a part of destroying.
Yeah, Biden just pushed something forward in California, in LA, San Francisco, and California, but then also in I think it's I'm trying to remember the city in Arizona, another city in Texas, I think Houston, where they want to get 25% of the entire homeless population off the street into housing in the next 24 months. And the big question would be, how the hell would they actually do that? Like in California, you have 225,000 homeless people, and so it's like they would obviously have to push people into units that are vacant, maybe that landlords aren't renting, or increase tax revenue to be able to fund new construction. Even at that, they wouldn't be able to build it in 24 months. I think it's just like I think what they're doing is they're setting a new layer of like entitlements in which people they're going to start feeling more comfortable to demand solutions from people that are actually supplying value in this market.
You went to the border, didn't you?
Where?
To the Texas.
Yeah.
You California, like
the Mexico to Tijuana border. Yeah, I crossed it.
Yeah. How's it look over there?
I actually just went to Mexico like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was really nice.
Oh, okay.
We flew into the Cancun airport, and I flew my buddy. We were looking to get like a little property out there. But it was nice, but it wouldn't be like a spot where I'd have family.
Yeah.
But I feel like Mexico is like, it's like in many areas safer to have like your kid and your wife, walk on the streets. The food tastes better. It's just like a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
So like I feel like what are your thoughts on the passport pros? It seems like a lot of people are like looking to do Mexico or doing like South America. Like, what do you think about all that?
I think it's smart. I would do it too. I mean, I would. It does require extra work. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would procrastinate. But I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
If you're an American with assets, a sizable amount of assets, that it would justify the financial expense. And even if you only don't have that, there's layers of protection. If you're a high net worth individual or not, But let's say you're not a high net worth individual, you only have 50,000, 100,000. Maybe look at some plans, some ways where you spend less money. Obviously, the person who has more money will have more availability and choices and domiciles to be able to select.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, being able to pick your domicile is like a luxury, you know?
Yeah.
You know, because it's actually, as an American, when you think about it, there's requirements in many of these, sovereign states. You know, once you leave the United States, it's not like you just can go anywhere and just set up shop.
Yeah. You got to go through the process and like.
Yeah, and you don't know the foreign. Also, you don't understand maybe the foreign language unless you don't speak the language. They have their own. You think our tax system is complicated? Our legal system's complicated. Wait till you go to a country where you don't understand how to read their language. Yeah. And you've never seen their tax system or legal system. Combine that with not knowing their language. Man, that just makes a whole. Just imagine if you had to understand our tax system in the United States and our laws, and you can't speak or write English.
Right.
Much harder. Even now, as an American, I can't understand a corporate law textbook. I'm not a corporate lawyer.
Right.
You know, I might understand a few parts. I like law. I'm interested in it.
But you have to have the money to hire somebody that does.
Yeah.
And you bring them on and educate you.
Yeah, I would rather have someone who spent 3 years on the study of jurisprudence, right? Like he actually studies as JD. Okay, great. All right. I get it, you know? But me, like what? Because I read one book about a law school student or something like that, and, you know.
Yeah.
Now imagine if it's a country where you don't know the language. And those are specific words. Those aren't even conversational words necessarily for a beginner speaker. So
it seems like a lot of guys are just saying, you know what, like this is probably I'll go through that headache just so I can kind of get away from the modern women of America, or at least like the mold in which they're trying to fit modern women in. And they're going to other locations, you know, Brazil or Colombia. Like I'm seeing a lot on like social media, a lot of guys, like 25, 30-year-old guys, maybe they're making $10K a month. They're like, you know what, it's cheaper to live over there, and I can find a woman that will actually like respect me and, you know, fit into her gender role in his mind.
Yeah.
If you were 30, would you think you would move in that direction? 30, single?
Would women? I remember once actually when I was younger, I was trying to find my my way. Yeah, I mean, I was going hard, man. You know? I was about to say some jokes. I was about to say crazy. Well, it seems like a pretty family-oriented show, man.
No,
right?
Go for it. Go for it.
No, man. So but I was just gonna say that. What was the question again?
If like a 30-year-old single guy, looking at where modern women are today, where they're trying to push some modern women into like this, this, I guess, bowl. They're trying to like basically put all women, saying this is what your rights are. This is, you're empowered. You should be, having all these sexual partners. You should, you're a boss, babe, and all this stuff. If you were a 30-year-old guy, would you say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna dive into that. I work really hard, making $10K a month. I'm gonna go there, or would you just go to South America?
Yeah, I mean, so, when I was younger, I used to date this woman. She was beautiful, gorgeous, and really understanding. And I just used to cheat on her all the time. And I knew that if, she wasn't my wife, and I knew that if at some point she ever cheated on me, I would deserve it. Because, I did it to her on multiple occasions. But one day I found out that she actually did cheat on me. And it was at that point that I realized she was a big and I never spoke to that again. And that's when I actually came up with Alpha King rule number 87, which is if she cheats on you once, she'll cheat on you again. Leave that hoe and wait for the right one to come along. That's
Definitely number 87.
yeah, I didn't want to get X-rated on here, you know. I knew Nima was a little bit rowdy before he got married, you know. I don't. My youth was not the same as now. Now I'm married, I'm like completely like tranquilized.
Yeah.
You know, but for about 10 years, man, I worked with fashion models in New York City. And I learned a lot about women. And actually, I got into private equity from a guy I met in a nightclub in New York. He took me in. It was something, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the asset class of secondaries. It's a very specialized part of private equity where you have funds.
Yeah.
So you have, like, for example, a real estate fund, a timber fund. Let's say you have Timber Fund 1, Timber Fund 2, Timber Fund 3, and you have LPs and a GP, general partner.
Limited partner.
Limited partner, yeah. Basically, this is just fancy talk for a group of people come together. They put money in the piggy bank. All the people who put the money in the piggy bank are called limited partners. And the guy who manages the piggy bank is the general
GP.
partner.
Yeah.
All right. So then what happens if one of the guys says, I want to take my money out of the piggy bank, but he said he would keep his money in there for 3 years, but now he wants to take his money out of that piggy bank, but he just can't without maybe some penalties or fees. But then he finds someone else who will
take his spot.
That's called a secondaries market in private equity. And that's how I got in. And that was someone I met through nightclubs. So, you know, I work with in the nightclub business for about 10 years in New York City with fashion models and such, and bringing them out to parties and events. And that's when I learned a lot about women. So now my wife, you know, I didn't meet her at a nightclub. You know, she's like a village girl. She's like a country girl. You know, parents are still together. My parents are divorced. So, you know, I didn't have that role model, you know, and that's one reason I like to live in Germany is because I'm near her parents and they're such a good influence. Like I love her father and mother. The father's like a father to me. I really admire him. He's a successful family man. He's a successful CEO. He's on the board of directors of a professional soccer team in Germany. He's just a guy I admire.
Yeah.
And I like having that because I don't have that in my own family, and I want my daughter to have two parents. So when I married my wife, I was like, okay, I'm gonna marry my wife. I want a wife that's gonna be a warm, loving, you know, really warm, loving, and dedicated to my child, because my mom loved me, but she was never very warm and loving like my wife is to my kid. And that's one thing that I knew I would never be able to buy. Like, okay, you got a beautiful wife, cool, but is she really, there's a warmth in a mother. That was what I wanted. I was like, I fucked enough models. You know, I fucked enough beautiful women that I was like, all right, I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm thinking, I thought this before I had a kid, before I got married. I was like, okay, now I want a woman where what I personally like is secondary to, is this woman suitable to be a mother? So, for example, once I got married, you know, I never fucked around. You know, like at that, like once you put the ring on, that's when I stopped fucking around. You know, so it's you know, once I got sick, I remember my wife holding me up and standing up after my surgery. And I think a little bit later, you know, and I'm not joking around, you know, I'm real serious. You know, I basically prayed and you know, I'm going to be a good husband. And, you know, so I might joke around a lot here and there and, you know, but I don't joke around about 3 subjects. One is pedophilia.
100%.
I don't joke around. Like, that shit is disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like those sort of jokes. You know, I like being playful, but not that way.
No,
you know,
that's not playful. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And I have respect for people in the LGBT community, but I don't like making jokes about where I'm a homosexual. I respect everyone. I just don't like making that sort of joke. And I have gay friends. I a lot of gay friends. I just don't like making jokes about being a homosexual. So, yeah, really, I got a lot of love for gay. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
All right. So That and adultery.
Yeah.
That's where I draw my line. You know, I like to have fun. I like to play around, but not on. That's like excluding these three things: pedophilia, homosexuality, and adultery.
Yeah.
You know, so. But I worked in, you know, with you know, to your question, like nowadays, man, I would, you know, if you meet a woman that's with you before you become successful, you have you know, young men here, you know, like if she's with you and you don't have money, that's gold, man.
100%.
Guys like you and me right now, if we were to enter the dating market, already successful, already established, it's hard to know. You know, like I would never show off in front of a woman though. If I can't get a woman without showing her material items, then I feel like that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like I should be able to get a girl, and I'm, you know, driving a 1996 Honda Accord. If I can't get better than that, then I can't. I'd rather take that girl than take the girl that only took me because I had a Lamborghini. I just because that's not, it's sort of defeating the purpose.
Yeah, I dated this girl when I was like 23, and it was like just when I kind of started out, but I ended up breaking up with her after 3 months. And the reason I broke up with her, like you look in her eyes and you could just like feel evil. I just stopped seeing her. A few years later, she was one of the Me Too girls. Made all these accusations of a really famous celebrity. So everyone's gonna go look it up.
Wow.
Almost trashed this guy's career, and she made all these other accusations about all these different people. And I'm looking back on them, like I went with my instinct, like I could just feel something was off about this woman. And nowadays it's like if you step forward and you have a business or some type of something going on, like you increase the likelihood of maybe not a good outcome. Like you just don't know what could happen. So yeah, if you find somebody when you're just starting out, or you know, and you guys really hit it off, you hold that like gold.
Do you have hobbies?
Skateboarding. Yeah, skateboarding.
I tell you, like you seem like creative, like, you know, like more into just money, not just money. I could tell.
Yeah,
like
I grew up
all this
skateboarding.
stuff.
Like
Yeah.
I take my kid to Miami like 3 times a week.
Okay.
Which is like 6 hours of total driving. Take him to like a Lot 11 little skate park, and I'm like really passionate about like letting him see his potential on his bike, and like I just like to do things that are make me feel young. Like I don't want to just sit. Like I also like enjoy like, you know, stuff like reading or whatever, but like doing things that I think like there's a certain element of danger.
Yeah.
Like controlled danger.
You skateboarded when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like aggressively.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I actually went skateboarding yesterday and just got absolutely smoked at the
Yeah.
skate park. And some guy's like, "Hey, you're pretty good for your age." And I'm like, "Well, I'm out here because I don't want my kid. I don't want to be that guy on the sidelines, like telling my kid, oh, drop in on that, do this, do that." And then I'm not doing shit. I'm just like a little cheerleader on the sidelines. So
good exercise too.
Yeah, really good exercise.
So you,
and like,
so you go three trips a week to a skate park in
Saturday,
Miami.
Sunday, and then usually one day during the week.
Nice.
So like
man.
if my son gets a nap in and does his reading, then I'll take him like around 6:30. We'll go to Lot 11, skateboard for like an hour or two.
Nice,
like,
man.
yeah, it's really cool.
You grab a bite to eat with them, or is that you have dinner at home?
Like it depends. It kind of like depends. Like we're trying to get him to. We ate out for a few years, but it's like you start eating all that, like what you're saying, like all that garbage.
Yeah.
Start feeling like crap. Start putting on weight. So like when you're eating at home, you can kind of like you can cook and kind of control. So like we prefer to do that, but if we're down there, maybe we'll get some tacos or something. If like, you know, if the time permits and we want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel sluggish too if I don't eat right.
Yeah. Do you have an 8-month-old?
8-month-old. Yeah, I feel bad. My wife, I don't know. Like she has a hard. I feel bad. It's like she hasn't had one full night of sleep. I don't know how's
Same thing.
It breaks my heart.
I sleep like a baby, but it's like there's nothing I can do. You know, like the baby wants milk or the baby wants mom's attention. It's like
You go to sleep in another room occasionally? I do.
No, like she'll actually go into the other room. It's not because it's like I'm telling her like go in the other room. It's because like the other baby sleeps in the other room.
Yeah.
And so like she'll walk with the baby, maybe go in the living room, walk around.
Yeah.
And then like they'll end up in that room or something. But like like she hasn't slept well.
Yeah, it's almost like something like it's like a secret almost maybe between men of like, do you still sleep in the same bed while your infant baby's crying?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's almost like because I know I tend to go in the other room You know, and I feel bad. I feel like the biggest scumbag, but I'm like, man, I also important I sleep because I'm the breadwinner.
Yeah, you got to make money.
Yeah, I'm the breadwinner, you know, but it's just, but I do feel guilty, but I feel bad. She has 1 hour, man, 8 months. I respect women, you know, that 8 months, imagine 8 months not getting one full night of sleep.
Yeah.
And when the baby cries and nothing I do is going to stop that.
Yeah.
Like she wants the mother. She wants the mother's smell, mother's touch, mother's milk, mother's voice. You cannot, like it does no, your IQ means nothing. Your cognitive ability means nothing at that point.
Yeah.
It's the mother.
Yeah.
You know, she's irreplaceable at that point. There's no one else that's going to solve that problem. And it's great. Like the woman loves it, right? She loves having a kid that depends on her. At the same point, imagine going 8 months and every single night you were not able to go 7-8 hours consecutively to sleep. Maybe even if you just woke up once, that was the good night.
Yeah.
All right, I woke up once. I just think I would get mad if I woke up once for 10 fucking minutes.
Yep.
I'd be pissed off the next day.
Yeah, if I don't get one good night of sleep, I'm like, the next day is all effed up. Like, I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, right?
But
fucking ruined my day, man.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. Like I just, but I think it's nice you have hobbies, man. I you know, if there are a lot of young guys and stuff or young women listening, I think hobbies add a lot of interest to life. Like for me, you know, like I like doing comedies. I like doing like performing arts.
You ever perform live?
Yeah, I was talking to a couple guys last night about doing something like that. But I just like it. You know, I like it for fun. Just like you like skateboarding.
Yeah.
I think whatever it is, it helps you become. It's actually one of my secrets to being a good business person. I think is have a hobby. You know, whether it's skateboarding, whether you like to do literature, performing arts. Photography, filmmaking, gardening, right? Like cooking, learning a new language. I think having a hobby, because you get ideas from having a hobby.
Yeah.
And then when you go back to work, it's like, oh, you just learned from, this other place. Like for me, like financing deals, fuck man, I'm 42 years old. Like, I'm just gonna lend money for the rest of my life and then what, die? Like it's like I like finance. I like it, but I want something else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like also, now I think a hobby that really engages you. Like look at Trump, how he did politics, right? Like you probably just look at Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk has epitomized to me the person that has hobbies, but he's also made these hobbies like businesses.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just like, having hobbies, man, really add. And also, you know what? Even if someone says to you, you're wrong, Nima's wrong. All you should do is work. Yeah, I could make more money if I just stayed in private equity. I would make way more money if I just did nothing else but private. Would I be happy?
Yeah, so when I was like a real estate agent like over a decade ago, one of the early partners in MySpace, back when MySpace was a thing, he ended up getting a fat payout in like 2008 or whatever, whenever it sold. And I had the lease listing on his house for like, I think 12 or 13 grand a month. Back then, that was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I remember meeting with him and he was like, what do you do for fun? And I was like, oh, this. Later, he ended up firing me. Like he's like,
really?
He's probably like, this guy doesn't have like, he's not like cool. He's not like, he doesn't do anything else. He's just some boring kid that likes real estate. You know what I mean? Like, I ended up leasing his house, but he fired me because he didn't let me relist it later down the road.
Oh,
but it's like,
man.
That's what people like, I think in general, like, people want like connections outside of just like flat business. Like they want to be able to like relate to you on different levels. And like the only way to do that is by doing different things and like, pushing yourself to a different level and like trying to, I guess, discover yourself. Yeah,
like that's the thing. Like if I was a content creator, for example, and I wanted to make money online, I wouldn't be doing comedies because like I can do a comedy go viral. It doesn't mean I made any money. Yeah. But just remember, I like it as a hobby. If John, you go skateboarding, you're willing to drive 1 hour to Miami. 3 trips a week from Boca Raton. Yeah. And back. by the way. So it's 2 hours. Not to mention traffic. It took me to come here from South Beach about 55 minutes, 1 hour. Traffic wasn't that bad. So think about it. You're willing to drive 2 hours to skate 1 or 2 hours. It's your hobby, you like it. But then I feel like I would imagine it helps you get ideas when you're skateboarding for business.
Yeah.
Right? And like, even if you don't make money doing it, you're just a happier person, makes you a happier dad, makes you a happier husband. Like, I don't need to make money with my hobby. I actually like the idea that I don't make money with my hobby. I like it. If I made money one day, great. If I didn't make money one day, all right. But I want to do it my way. And I don't want to, it's like everything doesn't have to be about money. If you work smart, you don't need to work 18 hours a day. There's plenty of multimillionaires. And before someone says to me like, oh yeah, Elon Musk worked 18 hours a day, slept under his desk. I don't give a fuck what Elon Musk did.
Yeah.
Like, he also has a big belly. Like, I admire him as a businessman, but then you hear about his family life being completely
He has all
fucking
trash. Like, if
his
you
family, look, his family, like when you, like the public reports about his family life.
Yeah.
That's not my version of success. My last point. If you're a multimillionaire, I think it's safe to say at that point, there's a very sharp diminishing rate of return on making more money to your personal happiness.
Yep.
Like literally, like after like 5-10 million, a lot of that it's just such a smaller rate of return on your happiness compared to going skateboarding with your son.
Yeah.
Not once a week, not once a year, not once. Oh, I did it with my dad once when I was 5 and the kid's 18.
Yeah.
No. 3 trips a week. And that's just the 1 hour you drive with your son there, back, 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours there. Maybe you get a little snack. That's something he's going to remember for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Right? And that's your experience. You don't have to make money doing that. You know, and I feel like if you work smart 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, I love working. So I'm even going to say up to 60 hours a week. I love working. I love it. So I understand people who love working. But I don't think you need to work more than 60 hours a week to make millions of dollars. If you have to work more than 60 hours a week,
You're not doing it right.
yeah, really. Or you're in a field that requires it, like a lawyer, or in New York, like the investment bankers. You know, yeah, I understand the MDs working long hours and
Carlos Slim, you know, the Mexican billionaire.
Yeah.
He had a saying, and he said that if you are working in your business past, like I believe it was something like you said, you're not working on the business is working on you. Like the business basically runs your life, and it's not really a business. And it's like, if you can't delegate and you can't build the systems to where you can have a really good family life and spend time with your family and work on other things and do other things, then, you know, there's something broken there.
Interesting you said Carlos Slim. I admire Carlos Slim, and he was partially the one who influenced me on this. And I remember seeing something he said, you might have seen this. This is maybe 15, 20 years ago, by the way, where he said something like, you shouldn't have to work more than 12, 14 hours in a day. And because if you don't have a family life, then how can you actually be a good business person? And he said something along those lines. I ended up meeting like one of his grandkids or one of the people in his family in New York. But that's another point. But thing is that I do agree with that. Like, you don't need to work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You don't need to. Because then what happens, man? You make fucking millions of dollars. You work. I was a workaholic.
Yeah.
I epitomized New York City workaholic. I've epitomized work hustle culture. I've lived it, man. I've also gotten sick. So I fucking been there, done that. And I'll tell you right now, you know, hustle culture could suck my dick, you know, because I take care of your health. Take 1 day a week off. It's not that serious, man. You don't need the extra few thousand or few million if you already have several million, or like if you have your home, all those luxuries pale in the comparison of getting sick.
Yeah.
You know, there's some point where it's a common fucking sense. Like, no, I'm going to work every day, 3 months in a row, make money. Great. 3 years later, you get sick, you get a heart attack. Maybe you don't even wake up. You have a stroke.
Yeah.
Out. You're out, pal. You know, like maybe you don't come back. Maybe you do. And you're 46. You think 46-year-old can't get a heart attack? They can. Think a 46-year-old can't get cancer? They can.
Yeah.
Think a 30-year-old can't get cancer, diabetes, stroke? Guess what? They can.
It's funny you say that because when I was younger, my parents kind of had like a nasty split.
Yeah.
And one of my family members who passed away maybe like 10 years ago, or no, like 7 years ago, she basically raised me for like a good portion of like high school. And when she got diagnosed with cancer, I flew back home. I could barely even like take off work. Like it was like a really big thing for me to do it. And I ended up doing it. And I was laying on the floor next to her. She had like a hospice bed that was set up in like the sunroom. I was laying next to the floor. And before she passed away, she said, my one regret is I didn't take you in sooner. And I was like, that's what people think. They don't think about, anything else. They look at, what they did, the relationships with their family, all the decisions that they made. And I don't think you're going to make a mistake on spending more time with family and putting yourself in a better position for that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man, that's intense. How old were you?
Maybe 26, 27.
How old was she?
She was 64.
That's still a good life, man.
Yeah. It was definitely, it was a beautiful life.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. But like with the skateboard and with the comedy, like when you push yourself to like learn more and be more, like you're never going to lose.
Yeah.
Like, cause you're going to look at other things differently. Everything's going to kind of like, feel like allow you to move up to the next level.
Hey man, you know what? I went to Tampa, I think it was, or St. Petersburg. And it was, like a sunny day like today. And I remember seeing this building and it said something like a Children's Cancer Center.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, like, wow. Could you imagine a child getting cancer? Like she's 64.
Yeah.
Which is still sad. I'm sorry for that.
No.
I'm saying
it's a full life. Like when you're 60 or when you're 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, it's like.
Yeah, a 6-year-old getting cancer, that's man, they didn't even get to experience being 22 years old and angry about traffic.
Yeah.
They didn't get to experience even getting a heartbreak. They didn't get to experience, man.
I had this experience like 20 months ago with my second son. We had a nurse that was going to come and deliver the baby because we weren't going to do it in the hospital.
Yeah.
I forget what they call them. Do you know what I'm talking about? The nurse will come and
midwife.
Midwife.
Yeah.
Midwife is going to come. And so my wife's like, she's like, oh, we'll just call, when you start having contractions. And so my wife's like, oh, these aren't bad. Like I'll call in a little bit. Meanwhile, like it's full blown labor. The midwife's like, I can't get there for an hour. I end up delivering the baby myself at an Airbnb around the corner from here. And I was like, all I was thinking, I was like, oh, if there's an umbilical cord issue, if there's any issue, I'm not trained. Like you start running through like all these types of like scenarios. Fortunately, everything worked out perfectly. But it's like when you talk about, cancer centers and stuff like that, like with little kids and they're so delicate and fragile that it's like you want to be, like I understand what you're saying.
I mean, think about it like this. In the United States, not just the United States, just in general, by the way, even Europe, I say this, Canada, like not just, this is not even really this Western world in general. In the Western world in 2023, it has become almost a norm that maybe 1 out of 2 men will get cancer, that maybe 1 out of 3 women will get cancer. And when you look back on societies 200, 300, 400 years ago, or indigenous communities, where they weren't eating this Western diet of processed food, fried food, chemically, engineered ingredients, high alcohol consumption and stuff like this. Like, no, there's something to be said about the food. I think
definitely.
I think there's something to be said that food is making people so sick, and I think that it's alarming that the doctor is so focused on, let's just get you this treatment, this medication. You got a heart problem. You got your mother gets diabetes. Let's say you get diabetes. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You get diabetes. All right, we're going to give you medication. Hey man, how about having the doctor learn medicine and have food as medicine. So we just get this person to reverse the situation if it's possible and cure it through food rather than just keep feeding them medication, more testing. They make more money. It's so sick that the food is making us sick. Food is making us sick because the food companies are lobbying, selling, affecting even the food pyramid.
Yeah.
So they're literally selling us poison.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're eating. We're not even able to trust it. We're paying. It's not
Yeah,
like
you heard about the new like appeal. Like it was Gates is like making this new like vegetable and fruit that goes to Costco now.
Wow.
And it's like a lot of just like weird stuff, like what you're saying. Like the food's getting worse by the day.
Well, put it like this: if we're being fed, it's not like we're paying the government billions of dollars to protect us, like actually regulate something. Like food safety. So we're getting fed. It's not like they're actually not like they want to raise taxes on us. Not like we're getting a refund for their incompetence.
Yeah.
Maybe they actually have the crazy idea of getting more taxes because they're doing such a great job, which is evident when your wife's walking the other day and we see how degenerate this, even a beautiful place like Boca Raton, where I live in South Beach, the part of South Beach I'm at, even there, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
So, all right, so the food supply is poison. Can't trust the government for that. Then the medical schools and the doctors are just rushing right to treatment. But we're not even like looking at the fact of like you can go to societies in more than one region where people aren't eating this junk food, and literally their cancer rate, for example, might be significantly lower. The men are living longer, healthier, and they're eating cleaner and less medication. Who's making money when people who's making money when you're getting pills? Who's making money when you're getting a surgery?
When you're getting sick again. It just like runs that cycle. There's only one big winner.
Yeah, and then how about telling the patient, hey, do not eat fried food. Do not eat food with chemicals. Do not eat food that has white sugar, because that might feed cancer, for example. Or, watch your insulin rate, or diabetes, or you're going to get a heart attack, if you eat too much of X, Y, and Z. But hey, you know what? Don't worry about it, John. I'm going to give you this medicine. Come back every 6 months, get some more tests. If you get sick again, don't worry about it, John.
Got a new subscription for you.
Yeah, got a new subscription for you. And if that doesn't work, don't worry about it, John. We'll do a quick surgery. I got you. We got this new state-of-the-art technology, this beautiful storage, this surgical instrument that's going to go right in there. And don't worry about the invoice. I'll just send it to you. I think it's like, it's nothing. It's like $60,000.
Yeah.
I got you. $55,000.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are we talking about here? How about just tell John to not eat at McDonald's? Why don't we shut down all the McDonald's in this fucking country? Why don't we shut down all the Dunkin' Donuts in this country? This shit should cease to exist, and our cancer rates will drop. Heart disease will drop. Diabetes will drop. Diabetes, guy walks one day, doesn't have a leg. I don't know about you, but I want to keep my leg.
Yeah.
Like so much of this stuff is preventable. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, these are things that would significantly drop if the food companies did not have such a stranglehold, which collude in an indirect way possibly with big pharma, hospital administrators. This is just, it's like everyone's gang banging our country.
Yeah. Yep.
Up and down, they're gang banging. It's just an onslaught. You got to take care of yourself.
Patrick Bet David was saying that he has a young son,
Yeah.
and someone was in school, and the teacher, and I don't know if it was the principal, they were saying that they need to have some type of meeting. And so he goes to the school with his wife and the kid, and they're like, the solution here is that we go talk to this doctor. And Patrick's like, all right, everyone went to the doctor. He's like, I already knew what they're going to try to sell me at the end, but I wanted to hear their pitch. And at the end, the only solution was Ritalin. And he's like, or maybe he just has a lot of energy and he just wants to express himself like his old man. And like, he's like, we're not putting him on it. We're not following that protocol. And it's like, it's interesting how everything is just directed directly to signing up for the subscription.
Man. And it's crazy. Imagine if that person made a commission or some sort of bonus for prescribing.
It wouldn't surprise me. I've heard that they do, but It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I think it's disgusting. I think there are a lot of good doctors, by the way. There are a lot of good doctors. There are a lot of good doctors. Now, for example, but there is something to be said about, I think it's almost medical malpractice at this point if you're not emphasizing exercise, nutrition, stress management to your patient.
Yeah, one thing that
Stress will kill you too, by the way. So
one thing we've all noticed last 3 years, no one talked about any of that on TV, nothing.
Yeah.
Like it was always just the one solution for everybody. And it's like, I was actually talking to my wife on her drive-in yesterday. I'm like, 10 years ago, if we were going to like a dinner party, and there was like a couple doctors, I'd be like, these people are probably really smart, really educated. But now if I were to go there, I would feel like maybe they're just programmed one way to believe, one way to think. And maybe I couldn't have a conversation past that belief. Like,
well, it's interesting you mentioned Patrick McDavid. So Mike Tyson recently said,
yeah,
Mike Tyson said you could tell about a country by looking at the commercials. As someone who has a home in Germany and in Miami, okay? I spend a little over 6 months this year in Germany, a little bit less than that in Miami. If I watch television in the United States, it's true. You will see pharmaceutical advertisements. Mm-hmm. But in Germany, you don't, like you do here.
Interesting. What do you see there?
You don't see that. You see other stuff, but you don't see that. I don't. I honestly, I can't, you see like sign up for this telecommunications thing or
basic commercials, accident attorneys, whatever.
Yeah, it's trippy. It's trippy that when I'm at my home in Germany, if I do even watch television, I don't see that, but here I do in the United States.
Do you think staying in Germany is going to make your job easier as a father to raise your daughter in the light which you want her to be in?
Yeah, but I struggle with that question, man. I ask myself, that's a great question. I struggle with that as a father because I do think it's great for safety and the schooling system, the healthcare system is excellent there, high standard of living. But I was born and raised in the United States, man. I also, I'd like to think I can be a good father and husband and still also have my life.
Yeah.
My independence, man. It's not like my life is over forever now that I have a wife and daughter. I like being in the United States because I have friends here. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. This is my home. I'll never be German, but I can be American. I was born here, Any of us can be American, but anyone can't just be German. You can go to Italy. People love Italy. Oh, I'm going to go to Italy. Oh, I go eat Italy. Oh, I love Italian food. I'm going to go live in Italy. Yeah, but you're not Italian.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool that you like to go to Italy, no matter how much you try to go to Italy or France. I love France. Oh, I want to eat French food, Italian food. Yeah, but you're never going to be French. You're never going to be Italian. You're never going to be Italian if you weren't born Italian. Right? So my family, for example, in Iran or Israel, if I go to Iran, yeah, actually my family was from there. Or if I go to Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, my family, I have family from Jerusalem, But if I go to Germany, I'm a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
I am a Jewish guy. I'm a dark-skinned Jewish guy. I'm a Persian Jewish, Israeli Jewish guy. I'm American, right?
Yeah.
So.
How'd you end up in Miami? How'd that whole thing go? You went from New York to Miami. How'd that?
And it was right before COVID. It was right before COVID, and I thought I really would. Finally got to a point where I was like, man, I want to escape New York City winter. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I would come down to Miami for the cold months, but that was before COVID. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
Now I left New York but that was a big reason. Now New York City does not look like it did when I was younger. Now New York City's really it was crazy because when I was younger, New York City was very dangerous. And then Giuliani cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Bloomberg also was still doing good things, all right? Making it better. And then I would say when de Blasio came and start really just...
Trash in the city?
Yeah. And then I would say, but still manageable. But I'd say the last 3 years after COVID, I don't know, it's another city now.
Yeah.
New York.
You need security. If you have kids there, you need to have somebody walking with you.
New York's another city, man. Yeah. But we were talking about the healthcare thing. But think about it though, John. Like at the end of the day, if there was more focus on the nutrition, so many people would live higher quality lives and longer, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Since like January, I've been getting in this, like, it's funny you say all that because like I've been in this routine of like going to the gym every single day, like reducing my food intake, only eating really, really healthy food, like working out, and like you just feel so much better, like to a capacity in which I wouldn't have understood or appreciated 8 or 9 months ago, even the thought of. Like now I have so much more energy. It's just like, I feel like I'm a better father because of it. You're like, just getting in that rhythm and that cycle.
I'll tell you, man, like about 3 months ago, when I got sick, and then today, today. So about 2-3 months ago, I got sick, and then today, I cut out almost entirely my white sugar, processed food, fried food. And that stuff really helped me, much less carbs. That stuff helped me lose about 20 pounds. And I do feel more sharper, better, more, and I just feel more responsible as a husband and father.
Yeah.
And I think that putting the focus on, I think a part of growing up and being mature is like, all right, going to the gym, getting muscular is great, but I think nutrition is so important that you can look great, but what's on the inside of you, man?
Yeah.
And nutrition is a big part of that.
There's like this new look that people are doing. It's like this bodybuilder type of look.
Yeah.
But it's become like a little bit, I guess, more popular with like the influencers.
Yeah.
Where it's like they look like they're like swole up top, but then they look like fat down below.
Really?
Like it's more of like they got like mass here, but it's not like good mass. It's just like, but then they look like toned up top. It's like, I don't know. Like,
please send that to me. I'd like to see that.
yeah.
No, I mean, muscle, I think there's one doctor, I heard him say, muscle is longevity. There's something to be said about adding muscle. I think another thing that doesn't get enough recognition is stress management. Like stress will kill you. I guess it's a way of where your stress will affect your cortisol affects your insulin, and insulin can lead to you getting sick. So stress management is important. Like I think exercise is very good. At the same point, I think that nutrition should get more recognition. Stress management should get more recognition because stress can kill you.
Is your wife on the same page? Has she
My
always
wife-
been like, I guess, where you are now?
Well, I started studying plant-based nutrition recently. Got into this like certificate program with Cornell University. Anyone can do it. It's Dr. Colin T. Campbell. He did a 10-year China study where he literally looked at indigenous communities that didn't have a Western diet, basically. Then he looked at other communities that did. And it was just striking for him how much nutrition was affecting people getting sick, specific forms and this was a study, a lot of his funding was backed by the NIH, but he did this over 10 years. And his son is a medical doctor. He works as a biochemist, and he was working as a professor at Cornell. And so his study was so comprehensive and the evidence that he got. So I find that eating healthier, in particular the white sugar, fried food, processed food, I mean, I'm sounding like, broken record here, but that stuff I think played I could be wrong. I feel like that got me sick, and I feel like that's helping me feel better today.
When you were in the clubs back in the day, I know you were working, were you smoking cigarettes and drinking back then?
Oh, no, but I was around secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
That might have played a part too. Being around secondhand smoke's not good, man. Then? Now it's better because now it's mostly, gone. But I personally also, like, I don't eat pork. I don't drink alcohol. I really avoid, for a large part, processed food, fried food, white sugar. And these things have helped me lose weight, and I think that if you're not watching the visceral fat here, like that's what's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And even if you're 25 and you're fine, 35, you're fine. One day when you're in your 40s or 50s, you're going to pay the price maybe. Now, are there people that don't pay the price? Yeah, maybe there's 3 people out of 100. They can drink, smoke, do whatever they want, and they just have some genetic mutation or some genetic makeup that they just get away with it forever.
Yeah.
Right? But you want to really play those odds?
Yeah.
I don't.
So
You know what I mean?
100%.
I don't want to play those odds, man. 'Cause
Yeah.
those odds don't look like they're really in my favor. If there's like 3, 4 guys, let's say maybe out of 100 that get away with that. Now, what happened to the other?
So how would you define an alpha male today, outside of healthy living and exercise?
Yeah, even though I do like, a lot of, even though I do this sort of content regarding alpha attributes, I probably consider myself more a sigma in the sense of going in my own way. But I think the person that takes care of himself and his family, that's it, man.
Yeah.
He's not a pushover.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't think, I think nutrition, stress management, taking care of yourself so you can be there for your parents when they're old and sick. Also, your kids
Yeah.
and your wife and yourself. Taking care of your employees, not making them wait too long to get paid.
Yeah. Always pay people earlier on time.
Yeah, I think there's something a guy told me once when I was 21. I'm 21 years later. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I went to go pick up a check from him for work I did. And he said, "You know what, Nima? I don't pay you much, but I pay you when it's time to pay you. You can always tell how much someone respects you by when it's time to pay you."
Mm-hmm.
And that was 21 years ago. That was one of the best business lessons I learned, and it was one of the most accurate because people stall to pay you. It becomes another job within itself just to get paid.
Yeah.
If someone respects you, they're going to pay you right away. Now, that's absent financial business is going through, solvency issue, like liquidity issues. Like I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about in general.
Yeah.
In general.
I had a contractor in LA this years ago, and he was building a duplex for me. And I didn't want to do it. He had the team, he had the crew. I didn't have the crew. I didn't want to micromanage, try to manage it. It just felt like a hassle. But this guy's buying everything in the neighborhood and building units. And so I called the guy and I'm like, "Hey, can you come over and give me a bid?" This guy actually, I didn't know he was absolutely loaded. It was mainly just his family funding and some investors funding a lot of this construction. I was like, "Could you run the job for me?" And he's like, "Sure." We didn't do any contract, no upfront anything. It was a handshake deal. And he's like, "Once we get to certain stages, you just pay me." And I'm like, "That sounds great to me." And so he ripped down this little, there was a little house in the back. He ripped it down. He laid the foundation and they were getting ready to start framing it out. And then he came, he's like, "All right, $25K. I wrote him the check and we did the whole project. It was $250, maybe $260K. Left on great terms. And it's how often do you get that?
Yeah.
That type of and someone asked me recently, "Oh, you're going to build something in Florida?" It's I know I'm probably not going to get that type of experience to where it's completely hands off. He did, it was amazing. But yeah, those relationships, you cherish them.
Yeah. I find that in business, if you get offered a lot of money to join somewhere, and I find, it's interesting, man, I'll tell you some crazy. This is not even just the United States. You can apply this even in Germany or United States. So I'm saying this because this is human nature in business. Generally speaking, if you get offered a lot of money compared to your other offer, it's something may be up there. Maybe they're not managing something right, and you're going to have a hard issue getting paid.
Yeah.
Because if it's 2 companies, they're in the same field, maybe similar margins, for one company to just pay you way more money, maybe that's a situation where you're going to have a harder situation to actually get paid.
Yeah.
They offer you a lot of money and they can do it, but then you notice that they're having financial issues, and I found that. That doesn't mean, this is a very blanket statement, by the way. This is not every situation is like this. That's the thing about reading business books too, man. Like, look, how do you, or being a CEO, like as a CEO, like who has the role of a CEO, I can't just read a business book or watch a YouTube video or take a course and solve my problems, because my problems are very specific to my niche, you know, and the sector that I'm in. And the market is continually evolving. And I also have my own set of weaknesses, strengths, interests, and there's a dynamic set of opportunities on any given basis. And the level of complexity between my personality and let's say 15 people, 40 people that are working with me, let's just say, I'm saying hypothetical situation here, we all have a unique situation that has never occurred before in history. So as an entrepreneur, you're constantly going to be experiencing brand new opportunities and problems, challenges that never existed. So I do think that being an entrepreneur is largely inherent at least, like genetic. Like I don't think everyone can be an entrepreneur. I really don't. But I do think that if you are an entrepreneur, you can become a better entrepreneur. I think there's room for improvement. But I would never say to someone, I'm going to teach you how to be an entrepreneur. And then I speak to you and I see you don't have, I wouldn't take that money.
Yeah.
And with a clean conscience, I'd be like, look, I don't think you have the talent to be an entrepreneur, but maybe I'm wrong. Have you tried it before? No. Okay. Well, if you haven't tried before, then let's try it. But if I can see, like, listen, I don't know if you're meant to be an entrepreneur, but I hope you prove me wrong. But I just want you to know up front, I don't know if you're going to be a good entrepreneur. I don't think you have the ability for it. You know, like I think you're helping someone by telling them that. Just because you're an employee doesn't make you like miserable in life. No, you get a lot. You can make a lot. You can become a millionaire. You can become a billionaire being an employee. The CEO of Google, the CEO of Microsoft right now is an employee.
Yeah.
Has more money than me.
Yeah.
Shit, the guy got maybe $100 million package recently.
Yeah, just sold half his
$200 million
stock at the height of the market. Yeah, there's a billionaire.
The guy's making that guy as an employee is worth more than every single CEO any of us have watched on social media make a video about how great of an entrepreneur he is and laughing at every employee.
Yeah.
And he's an employee. You can make more money as an employee than an entrepreneur. It's not the same.
I was interviewing someone today for a job.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, you know, cause she's like going to be posting and doing like responding to DMs and stuff for me. And she's like, oh, well, I read online, it's like $25 per post. And like, this is like what I would be getting for like this and for that. And I'm like, but where did you read that? And she's like, oh, I saw it online. I'm like, and at the time I had like a coffee. I was like, well, look at this coffee. This coffee was probably $7, right? If this coffee was 20, I wouldn't have bought it because the value exchange isn't there. Yeah. I'd rather have my 20 than that coffee. And then based on your current set of skills, which you don't have many in this career, I'll train you. And then ultimately, if you do a good job, then you'll make more money. And if you don't, then this won't work out. But if you do, you'll get free training and you could sell that newfound knowledge and talent to another employer to maybe get that money that you're looking for. But it's a good way for you to kind of like enter into it. But like what you're saying, it's like some people will have that mindset and understand that, and it becomes more clear where their skills are. And then other people maybe don't see it.
No, that's a good point. That was good, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah. No, really, man. This was pretty cool conversation, man. This is pretty cool conversation. So you're on YouTube?
Yeah. Yep. This is John Williams is like my main YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then I have a second channel, the This is John Williams Show.
Okay. Nice.
And then IG and TikTok. You're mainly on IG, right? And you do have a YouTube channel. You're posting shorts though, mainly, right?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. But I say at Nima Yamini, you know, but man, you're doing great on YouTube, man. Like 150,000 or something. 160
something. Yeah.
Man.
It's a lot of work. A lot of people, I think, they look at YouTube and like, oh, it's easy. But it's like to actually come up with a piece of content worth 10 or 15 minutes is much harder than to come up with something for 50 seconds or 40 seconds. Because you've got to actually lay out the video and there's so many different variables. Like people have to actually hit the like button. That's why like on Fresh and Fit, they're always saying, smash that like button, smash it. Because when they do, YouTube shares it. So if people don't hit that like button, then the video bombs. It could be the best freaking video in the world. But like Mr. Beast was talking about, it's like you have to have a great thumbnail and you have to have people hit the like button and the watch time. If the watch time is like over 40% of the video is going to launch. It's going to do extremely well. That's why Fresh and Fit, they're crushing it on YouTube.
Yeah.
They got it dialed. But man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thank you, man.